Okay, Anusha, you can join the live now. Let me just.
Okay, she'll be part of it.
No. I'm just. Can you hear? Can you see it? I started the live. Can you hear it? Okay. All right. Now, how do I add someone? Search my first ever. Send. Invite to join. My first step ever. Invite. All right. Hello, everyone. We're just waiting for Ishani to join the live chat, and then we can get started. There she is. I joined. There we go. Accept. Huh. That's odd. I'm hitting accept, but it's not going through. What's that? Shay, do you understand that? Is unable to join, it says.
Oh, Ishani.
Yeah, it's unable to join. She's unable to join.
It says it's joined. My first step, right?
Yeah.
It says it's joined.
There she is.
Hello.
Hi, Ishani. How are you? Sorry, there were some technical issues.
No worries. It always takes some time, I think, with technology, especially the Instagram Live.
Yeah.
It takes time.
You would think after we've done this now, I think a few times, you'd think we'd have figured out the tech issues by now. But the cool part is that we're still experimenting with it. So it's in fact, just before we went live, we were actually trying to hook the Instagram Live up to the microphone so we could get the quality, but sadly we couldn't get it. There wasn't enough time. But so let's get started. So thank you so much for doing this for us. It means a lot. And so you actually you came to us through one of our colleagues, Anusha. So so how do you know Anusha, just out of interest, before we get into the questions? I just wanted to know.
Yeah, firstly, thank you so much, especially to Anusha and all of you at manicpod for having me. We worked at James Walter Thompson. I think it's called Wonderman Thompson now. So we became friends then, and it has been over 4 or 5 or 6 years now, and we kept in touch. We are really good friends. And I started podcasting. I moved to Australia to pursue my master's. So when I started podcasting, she told me she's just got a new job and she's been enjoying at this new job. And that's how she told me, we do this really interesting session. I was like, that's a very good initiative. And when she offered me, like she invited me, I thought this is a very good opportunity to share my journey. So thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And so you worked at J. Walter Thompson. So as I understand it, it is an ad agency. So did you work in the creative division of J. Walter Thompson?
That's right. I was interning over there, and then I worked as an art trainee in the creatives department. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, because I also worked in advertising as a copywriter. So when I was living in the States, so I have some understanding of the whole ad agency thing. So
yeah, it's a very interesting work, I would say.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely fascinating. And there are a lot of perks to it. Usually, there's the freebies that you get when you join a certain account, and you're like, can you test the product for us? Like I remember one time I was working on Mike's Hard Lemonade, and they brought actual Mike's Hard Lemonade to the office, which sadly we weren't
Wow.
allowed to enjoy because it is an alcoholic beverage. But
Okay.
suffice to say that we did enjoy ourselves after the workday ended.
I see.
Yeah.
Better than nothing, I guess.
Better than nothing. That's absolutely right. And so you mentioned just then that you moved to Australia for your master's. So what exactly did you do your master's in, if you don't mind me asking?
Yes, of course. So prior to coming to Australia, I did my master's, undergrad in designing, which was basically communication design, and I have always been interested in audiovisual communication. And hence, when the opportunity came to intern at JWT, I grabbed it. And after that, I worked in production house in India. And that's when I realized that I understand all the creative aspect of it, but I would really like to learn more about campaign development, to learn a bit about business and marketing. Hence, I came to Australia to study Masters of Marketing and Communications. And this was the only course back then,
Okay.
in 2019, if I remember, which provided me a very good blend of marketing, business, and creative communication side. So that was a very major decision for me because I was getting electives like,
And
I'm not sure I'm getting feedback. Is it all clear for you?
yes, we're hearing you perfectly. Yes.
Okay, I'll go on then. So it had, electives like audiovisual communication, advertising, brand management, and hence I came to do my master's in marketing communication.
Okay. And which university did you do it at, if you don't mind me asking?
Yes, of course. So I've done my master's from the University of Melbourne.
Okay. Yeah, no, because I also have a few friends who went to Australia for university. So Melbourne, I don't remember specifically, but most of them went to Monash University. So I'm familiar. In fact, now that I think about it, one of my friends from my undergrad days actually went to Melbourne University for his master's as well. So I'm not sure, you might have even bumped into him there because he went there for an MBA, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably if I know the name, I suppose yes, because we
his
do
name is
have.
his name is Deepak. He's a quite a character. Like you can't miss him.
I haven't come across any character, so maybe no.
Okay. Well, I genuinely don't know if that's a good or bad thing because he was a very colorful personality, let's say. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
Hopefully, I might just try and look if we knew each other, and maybe I can see if he was there, and maybe we can chat after this.
actually, the interesting thing is that he is also in many ways he has a similar background to Anusha actually, because he keeps claiming he's from Ghana actually, but he is
Okay.
he is obviously has an Indian background, but he is very proud of the fact that he comes from Ghana. So that was a cool thing. So
Yeah, that's interesting.
yeah. So you said you left in 2019. So you've been there now for about 2 years. Is that correct?
I'm completing 3 years because I came here in Feb 2019. So it's almost 3 years now.
Okay, great. And most of that time was actually undercut by the pandemic. So what was that experience like?
Let's see. So I think 2020, when things started going very haywire with pandemic. But for me, 2020 was really good, I would say. I don't know how, but I enjoyed being online, studying online, being at my own space. Probably because we were doing everything, offline, and it was a shift. So it was something that we are doing differently.
Mm-hmm.
So you always enjoy certain break. And during that process, I really like meeting people. I like socializing, professional and in social settings.
Right.
So I had to meet that need somehow. So I started using online mediums like LinkedIn to, start interacting with people. And somehow I came in contact with, organizations which help student leaders and innovators in Australia to, build their leadership qualities and also volunteer to hone their skills, employability skills here. So, for example, one was campus consultancy, another is Study Melbourne. If anyone who's listening to this and interested to know which organizations. And because of them, I met a lot of like-minded students who are all very invested in their goals, their dreams, and that kept me very busy. And in fact, I started feeling really good because now I could dedicate my time to search workshops, 1 month challenges that we had online, and then go back to my studies. And I also started giving health a priority because there was no other way. Because when I used to go to university, I used to walk each day, and that was it. But when I wasn't able to do that, I had to purposely keep up with my health as well. So I think that also got a place in my life somehow. And 1 year was very good. I think the second year was not that great because I think then the Zoom fatigue and staying at home just started
Right.
coming. So this year particularly was a little difficult for me on an emotional level because of not being able to come back. I think I've been here for the past 2.5 years.
Oh wow, yeah. So, but I hear things are slowly starting to open up again, so, because they're starting to allow travel, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, so they have. I would like to say that from December 1, they are fully opening and welcoming everyone, visa holders,
Right.
international students, or any kind of visa holders to enter Australia, of course, being fully vaccinated. And I think for tourists, that might be sometime next year.
Great. Fantastic.
So it's,
So you mentioned how
that
you.
sort of,
I'm sorry.
sorry, I think that sort of reminds me that I think Melbourne, Victoria, uh, was one of the states in the entire world to be in lockdown for, I think, almost over 200 days. We were in lockdown for about 4+ months over here, in continuous
Wow,
lockdown.
that is
So it was sort of a
interesting.
victory the day we came out of lockdown.
Yeah, I can imagine it would be. So, Ishani, you mentioned that you like connecting with people, you like listening to their stories, you like telling their stories, and that's a very natural sort of precursor to beginning a podcast. But I wanted to know, when did this affinity for these for doing these things, when did that really hit you? Was that early in your life? Was that maybe when you moved and you got a sort of hit by the wider world? When did this love for listening to stories come about?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question. I'd like to share the answer for this. So, um, from what I remember, my mom used to tell me that I was really young, like maybe 5 or 6. I used to just rush to the television whenever there was an ad. And I started to develop that interest in advertisement, how it impacted people in a way, how it influenced their thinking to buy certain products or to act in certain way. And I used to just run and come and watch and then just go. And that also started building up. Being in Mumbai, you are surrounded with movies, drama series, and radio and everything. And I like consuming it. I consumed radio a lot. I used to watch television a lot. So I think that's how I developed the interest of the world of stories, creation, and how it can really affect people. But as I started growing up, I realized that I want to make use of those skills and tools that I learn sometime in future
Right.
to help people out. And I think that was particularly inspired by two very, very interesting ads. One was the Hero Honda ad, where they had that song "Man Mein Hai Hero."
Oh
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
song
That one.
that was terrific. And also, I think yeah, especially the Google ad in which they showed how two friends got separated. One went to Pakistan when India partition happened, and their grandson and granddaughter got them together on the grandfather's birthday through Google. Finding out where that friend was in Pakistan. I think there was some amazing ads that had come up, which really helped me understand that how they use ads and technology by putting forth the very, coming out with insights,
Right.
how they can really affect people. So I wanted to be part of that work that can help people in some way, but in an entertaining and informational pattern. So my mantra became to infotain, to provide information and entertain.
Right.
So yeah,
And if you're interested in that, because when I moved back, because I'd lived overseas for quite a bit of time myself, so I was always used to kind of foreign advertising. So the only kind of exposure to Indian advertising that I had was stuff that my mom would WhatsApp me, and it was always the sappy emotional types, like that ad for the coil, the bug coil, where the family is sitting for dinner and the kid is like has stolen money or something, and the whole family is just like ganging up on the mom, and then the grandpa just like defends her at the end. My mom is just like, see, you're like the kid, this reminds me of you.
That's sad.
Yeah. But if you're also into that advertising, I also, during the lockdown, actually, I read this book called Nudes and Noodles, which looks at the past 50 years of Indian advertising, Nawab's Nudes and Noodles, which was a brilliant book that really gave me an insight into how advertising has developed over the years, since independence, really.
Lovely. I think that sounds really good, and I think I might really check that out. So I think with me, what it has been, I've always been a visual person. I like to listen. I like to engage all my senses while
Right.
I'm looking at something. Books have been, I struggled with the books. The only series that I could complete was Harry Potter.
Right.
But of late, I have started to read some books because I understand the importance of it. Even while you want to create stories, you want to do something and, uplift yourself and for personal development. So I surely will look into the book that you mentioned right now.
Sure. But that actually raises a pretty interesting question, because you said that, obviously you're into the very visual side of things. And of course, you joined J. Walter Thompson as an art trainee. So with the goal, I imagine, of having to be an art director. So how did that translate into podcasting, which is a very non-visual medium? It's all audio. So how did that translate to you starting the podcast that you did?
Yeah, I think my first half of 20s have been very experimental.
Sure.
I always wanted to go into a filmmaking space or learn from filmmaking, but while I was doing my undergrad, I was given this opportunity to go to advertising. That was something very close to what I was thinking of.
Right.
But due to the bachelor's that I had in designing, I was put as an art trainee. I was doing well. I had good stuff to do and of course a lot to learn, but I soon realized that is not something that I'm looking at. Sitting at one place, designing stuff. Of course, you brainstorm, you think, but I really like what copywriters did.
Right.
So I really smiled when you said that you were a copywriter, because they work on PVC, they work on stories, and I like being on, going to clients, listening to their brief, maybe giving the input, and then going on floors and getting things done. So that's what really interested me. So it was a very good start, and I'm very grateful for that. I made some very, very good friends, and they all have been in my life since then, and they've been very helpful throughout the way as well. So it was, I think, no brainer that I would do that. And yeah, but from there, I actually worked in retail for about a few months in Future Group as a graphic designer. From there, finally, I quit that thing because I did not want to do it. And I reached out. I literally wrote emails to, I think, 7 advertising production houses in India at that point in time. One was Chrome Pictures, and I thankfully got a call from one of them. I wrote a very sentimental email saying this is the what did I say? Launch pad to my dream, the rocket of my dream.
Oh wow!
So that was the email line.
As a copywriter, I approve that line.
Thank you. Sounds good. That makes me feel happy. So I had that interview with the director, and finally I got a job, like an unpaid sort of job, because I was just starting off with no experience.
Right.
And he told me, why do you want to be in this? You won't survive it. I'm like, you're getting a free hand for some time. Just, why don't you just take the opportunity for someone helping you for free? And then you can see if I am capable or not, because I believe that I was.
Right.
So it worked well for about few months, and then again I thought of that's when I was working at the ground level at Chrome Pictures. I worked for a few ads like ICICI, credentials, for booths, and for few more.
Mhm.
And that's when I realized I didn't want to learn the marketing and business side as well, how a campaign is developed.
So, with the pocket, so how did the idea for,
Yeah.
the first
Okay.
time stories really come to you? Because you, I would have imagined from what you have told me that you would want to start like a business podcast or, a marketing podcast. And there's quite a few of them started by local podcasters in this country. So, what was the thought process behind starting My First Time Ever?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I think I did not connect that to the question that you asked earlier. How did I get into podcasting then? And to answer both of your questions, so while I came here and I had this subject called strategic content creation, and that's where we did a bit of, website development, content writing, and there we had a module of doing 5 minutes of podcast. And I had no idea what podcast is, but I knew what radio is. It was very much similar. It was very much easier because I needed no one. I just needed a platform which we were introduced with that point in time to SoundCloud, because you have like probably 5 hours of worth of free upload. So it was like a trial platform, and that's when I just went out to few people. I started, interacting with, networking with on LinkedIn, and I asked them if you would be interested in, giving me an interview for one of my podcasting. So they were very happy about it, and then I went on doing that, and that's where my first 2 episodes came in.
Okay.
And then I started networking a lot, and I felt that these people who were CEOs, or they were and entrepreneurs, they had very good stories to tell, because all of them, everyone has some challenges in their life, and it is always the first step that is very, 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 very difficult. And I never had in my mind to start a business podcast. I did not know about podcasts and nothing about business. My sole reason of starting My First Step Ever was to help the international students over here, or students in general across the globe, to, bridge that gap between the profession or the journey that they will be taking ahead. And they know how it is, how challenging it could be, but what are the ways that people have gone through and taken their first step, actionable steps that they can share on the platform. So the youth who is listening to it, they know that how they can also navigate the way forward. So my first step ever term came in that sense that everyone has their journey, but the first step is the most difficult in any area. So that is the story behind My First Step Ever.
Sure. And so we've talked about kind of the emotional journey from you starting out at J. Walter Thompson and charting it all the way to Australia and starting with My First Step Ever. So I wanted to sort of change gears for a second and talk more about the technical aspects, because this series, we really want to kind of get a sense of how podcasting is done as well, because we are a podcasting company. We produce our own content. We would love to know how other podcasters bring their ideas to life as well. So I just wanted to know, when you are recording, what is your general setup like? What equipment do you use? Is there any kind of rituals that you do to kind of get in the zone before you actually sit down and interview someone? If you could walk us through the process of recording an episode of My First Time Ever, what would that look like?
Sure. So I definitely use a headphone and microphone, but before I begin explaining which one or what it is, I like to tell our viewers who's listening to this, because you're starting off scratch, I'm going to tell my experience. I did not have enough money to invest in these equipments, which are essential after some point. But when you're starting off, I had just my laptop and I just had a Zoom interview session. So I just started off very basic, bare minimum. And that's when I think when you start that way, it's the first few episodes is just to gain confidence, and also, to try if this is working out for you, if this is something that really interests you. So the reason I said that I use platform like SoundCloud or Podbean, which is going quite good in Australia, is because they provide you with few free hours. So that's when this is what I recommend to people, even who listen to my podcast and they're interested in podcasting, that you use that 3 hours to upload at least 5 minutes or 17 minutes short, or 10 minutes of your podcast sessions,
Mm-hmm.
just to see if people are liking it, what sort of response you're getting it. And once you want to move in, and if you can invest, there are very basic ones that you can start with. When I ask people, one of my friends is a podcaster as well, and he's a copywriter as well.
Okay.
And he told me about, sorry?
No, I said okay. I was acknowledging.
Yeah. So thank you for that. He suggested me with Blue Yeti and few more things, but I believe with the equipment, with microphone, there are few things that you need to know, that some are like unidirectional, that if I'm holding my mic here, it's only one way. If I speak, the voice will be captured. Some capture like, I think, 180 degrees, some capture 360 degrees. So you need to understand the technicalities and what works best for you. Now for me, I bought this audio. I've just taken it out because I wanted to share with this. I bought this Audio Technica headphones.
Okay.
These are very, very, very good, and that is when I could afford this.
Speak of the devil, actually.
Awesome. So I would like to say that anyone who wants to, who's a bit serious and want to keep this going on, and if you can invest, once you want to, this is a very good piece of headset that you can start with. On Amazon, you get a very good deal. You get a deal with the mic, with the filter and everything. But for me, I was gifted this microphone newer.
Okay.
This I wouldn't suggest for podcasting, as it records a lot of background noise as well. But since I was gifted this and I had just started off, so I've been using this since then, and it is turning out to be good while I do my editing.
Okay.
So it's all good, but in future I would like to invest in microphone as well, and that would be Audio Technica for sure, this brand, because I think I really like it. If someone wants to know a little bit more about microphone and how it works, I think the best way is first to understand the functionality, what sort of space you have, what sort of a room or area that you're living in that can help you.
Right.
So I learned a lot about this on a site called riverside.fm. They provide you, they're an online platform of, providing you with links of podcasting, interviewing online anywhere across the world. So on the blog page, that's where they have a lot of information about all these things.
Wow. Yeah. I think that's a incredible resource that you just shared, because we've also had our times looking up Riverside FM.
Lovely.
And yeah, no, Audio Technica has been such a good friend to manicpod as well as Rodecaster as well. We have, our microphones are actually Rode microphones, and we even have a Rodecaster Pro sitting just to my left, actually, which our sound engineer uses to produce our shows. So you talked about, the process of and the equipment that you use. So which episode that you have made so far, which one would you say is your favorite one? Whether it's, it was your favorite one to produce, it was your favorite subject matter, it was your favorite guest, which one would you say was your favorite episode?
I already thought about this. Now that I have around 60 plus episodes, I can't really pick one, because all of them have shared very valuable experiences in their life.
Sure.
But if a person who has very, very much inspired me, I would say, is this lady called Nina Christian and Josh Farr. And there is another lady whose episode will be released at the end of the year. She is Forbes 30 under 30 millennial, and she's amazing. She's from Dubai. I like their mindset,
Okay.
How they have built their life, how they have gone forward, how if things have affected them, and how they have shaped, really, they have really shaped themselves, and they did not let their circumstances define them. So you are always more than what your situations are, and it always takes a lot of time to understand that. But it's better to understand yourself as soon as possible. Things become easy. And I think the journey has been with the podcast, the episodes that I've done, the people I've interviewed. All of them had very interesting things to share. For example, there is one episode with Lisa Tesh. She is the co-founder of Cody Agency, which is the award-winning agency over here and digital agency. And we were talking about how when she feels so sad, she just takes a day off, tells everyone that she's not feeling good today, and she just sits in her bed and eats KFC. So these things makes people understand that how people are very normal
Right.
and how their mindset are. And when you listen to all these things and how the challenges have been in their life, everyone needs and takes time to come out of things. So that's why my first step ever really values all the stories that we share. And definitely these ones are, I would say, that have really, struck a chord with me.
Right. And then, of course, the flip side, I have to ask, there are obviously challenges to making a podcast. And like you said, when you started out, the first microphone that you had was a gift, and you hope to upgrade one day. So if you could go back in time, let's say that someone gifted you a time machine tomorrow and said, you can go back in time and you can fix one of your episodes. You improve you can go back and do it with a better microphone. You can go back and ask a different set of questions. You can go back and maybe convince that guest. And now that you have developed the rapport, the ability to convince them, so to whatever that is. So if you could go back, which episode would you want to improve, whatever that means for you?
Yeah, I think I know the answer to this. All the ones which don't have good audio quality, because as I mentioned, all of those stories are unique and they share a lot of value. It would be very sad because of audio issues that that were not able to come out properly, and that has been in my initial few episodes. I had a very, very bad version of my laptop, an ancient Apple laptop. And when I started off using with a very high-end laptop that I could hire from my university. And that is why I had real good quality. But then I have to return the laptop and I have to move to my laptop. Things were not that great. So I would say definitely the ones which don't have good audio quality. And also at times, you think that this would be a good person to interview and they reach out to you and you feel like yes you can, but then it turns out to be no, they have a certain agenda. So
Right.
what I want to say here is that look for people who align with what you are doing, the goal that you have, so that both people have the win-win situation. I mean, you both are meeting the goals. Otherwise, either you feel that you have not lived up to your expectations, or the other person feels that they were not able to do what they wanted to get out of this. So yeah, that would be it.
Great. Fantastic. So final question. We've spent this almost half hour now covering the past. And now I want to finish off by asking a question about the future. So what do you feel you would like for your show going forward in the future? What would, whether that's a dream guest, whether that's just continued success, what do you hope is in store for Ishani and My First Step Ever?
With My First Step Ever, I really aim to reach as many as 1 million youth across the globe in the next 1 year, which is a very, very, very big goal. I hope it's not unachievable, but that is what I really want, because the podcast is basically for the youth. I want them to know as early on in their life that it is all about understanding who you are, what you want, where you are, and not listening to anyone in this world, which means no one in the world.
Right.
And for that, it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of time to understand some processes in life and to really align yourself with what you want. It is very difficult, but by bringing such people on the podcast, that is what I'm trying to do. These people were who maybe after going through certain difficulties, after listening to so many people and not following what they want, they finally understood what they want and how did they do that. So I want to tell them that you can do it as soon as possible. It's not anyone's fault because we are brought up in a certain way. And it's for some they understand very early that how it should be for them. For some they don't really know for the very long period of time, and they keep feeling that this is not what they want. So I just want the youth to know how things should work for them, which is they will decide how things will work for them. So this podcast is for that. So that is my aim with this podcast. And because I really like interviewing and speaking, and so something of that sort I'm thinking of doing for the people who are interested, the youth who would like to, if they want to start their own podcast. I'm more than happy to coach them or help them with the way they can ask questions, what is really important over there, what not to ask, or how to prepare for podcasts.
Right.
So I think you asked me one of question how I prep for my podcast. um, I can answer that now if you would like, or it's all good.
Go for it. Go for it.
Lovely. So I would say that I like to dance before my podcast.
Oh, wow.
I really
Okay.
feel in my zone when I dance. At times I listen to music, or even now what I do is that I just go live, or I just post a story just going before the interview, so that I'm all prepped up and all interested. So this is the best part of the entire podcast production, I would say, for me, is to interact with my guest and to ask them questions. I have a loose structure, but I always try not to know a lot about my the interviewee,
Right.
so that I can be surprised as well. And that keeps things very natural.
Great. And I feel like since you mentioned you want to hit that goal of hitting 1 million youth by next year, I feel like you've already kind of set up, the future episode where we redo this interview and we check in with you and see how you've been doing. And I feel like I should mark my calendar right now for that. But thank you so
Yeah.
much, Ishani, for being on the show. It was an absolute pleasure to have you, an absolute pleasure to talk with you. And I've learned so much. And you know what? I just might try dancing when I get back to doing my own podcasts. I can't
Yeah.
dance to save my life, but I might just try that.
Yeah, I think whatever makes you feel happy, you should just do that before you do anything that wants your full attention and wants you to be at your, the highest energy, or that's your highest self. So if that helps you, why not? And before leaving, I really would like to say to everyone who's listening to this or watching this on replay or the record, I came across manicpod through my friend Anusha, and then I went on and checked what is this platform doing, and I think I really loved what they're doing. It's a very new and upcoming, but a very good platform in India. So firstly, when I come back, I would really like to, hi Anusha,
Hi.
to visit it. And what I really like that they have different genres of material on their website. And as you mentioned, you have a full in-house studio. So I think for anyone who's starting off, they can learn a lot through these sessions, which I again say is a very good initiative. And they can also learn a lot from, I think, the workshop that you hold. And you also give people the studio who are podcasters and want to take things ahead. So it's a very good space. People who provide you such platforms, and I think, as you mentioned, you have some really good quality equipments. It's very important for any podcaster to start out with. And even if you are very scratch, starting from scratch, I would really like to tell you, you really don't have to worry about money at the beginning. Just start. This is what my podcast is about, making the first step. Start small. And I think Manic Pod is very interesting. And I'm very excited to see how Manic Pod, what future holds for Manic Pod as well. So thank you so much, Anusha and Vedant.
Absolutely. And yeah, we have some pretty interesting projects in the pipeline, so we can't wait for everybody to see them. And once you are back in town, we would love it if you stopped by the studio. And we give you the tour. You can hang out with Anusha again, and just that would be awesome. But yeah, thank you so much again, Ishani. This was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night, I believe. That's correct.
Yes, and good evening to you.
Good evening.
Bye.
Bye.